So I'm actually making y'all's video first just because I need a tarot reading. I don't know about you guys, but I need a tarot reading right now. So I've brought in the animal spirit knowledge cards, really beautiful artwork for that. And then I have the tarot Nefertari, this Egyptian theme that we got going on. This table covering I'm using today is actually a headscarf that a friend of mine from grad school gave to me. I very much attach it to the Middle East and the Holy Land. She was like as pure of a soul as you could possibly meet, so I very much considered this a very blessed. It's not just a table covering, it's a headscarf, it's a everything, right? This is a very blessed piece of fabric. So let's just get started with our animal deck. It was giving me a little something, so I was pausing to kind of listen, but let's get started. So I wanted to pull an animal oracle to see what spirit guides are leading you at this time before we get into the tarot reading itself. Oh, snow leopard. I pull this card so much, you guys. I might not pull it for the Virgo channel all the time, but like for myself, this card pops out a lot. It's a really important message. So it's the leopard, but specifically the snow leopard that they mention. It symbolizes stealth, strength, and purity. Leopards are phenomenal hunters known for their stealth and ability to stalk prey. The snow leopard, which lives in the mountains of Central Asia, is among the more mysterious of the species and was believed to have drawn the blood of its human victims without eating the flesh. By feeding on the life force, blood, and avoiding weakness, flesh, the leopard was thought to maintain its strength and purity. So, I've often pulled this card when, yes, like you are, it talks about weakness and flesh, you know, that could be all kinds of self-indulgence, anything that you do to satisfy the ego in the sense of, food, clothing, material things, sex, alcohol, drugs, like all that stuff, right? Those are temptations of the flesh. And that's where if you can learn to get by in life more through spirit or belief or, you know, these meditation practices, it's just saying like you have to learn to live off of the life force energy itself and flow with the universe and trust that you're getting everything that you need, and in doing that, in that way, your intentions and your, it said, karma are pure. If you are going after things in a lustful way, or if you're going after things in a greedy way, anything that kind of leans more towards the negative traits of, you know, pleasures of the flesh type deal, then you're going about it the wrong way. And that's where the snow leopard reminds you that it's kind of like along the lines of like, take only what you need, right? When the snow leopard eats the prey, it only feeds on the blood. It doesn't eat the flesh. It takes only what it needs. It takes something very pure. It's not saying that there isn't a natural give and take life and death cycle of life either. It's just saying like, you know, you gotta avoid the temptations of the flesh type deal. It's also today, here, we'll put those out. It's also really pointing out to me today the 3 eyes, and then there's another 3 eyes. There's like a human face, and then there's extra cat faces kind of over here. And it's pointing that out about how like, almost like a shapeshifter, like you are the snow leopard, right? So that's what I mean, drinking only the life force energy. And it's not just about spirituality, it's like everything, right? Drinking in the joy and happiness, the things that you need, the good stuff, but leaving the excess behind because you know that you don't need that energy. Like literally, you don't need that energy in your vessel. You don't need that energy in your aura field. You don't need certain energies because they either are negative, toxic, unnecessary. Like you're just learning to live off of the bare minimum of like just what you need. But it's in a really healthy, wholesome way. It's not like you're without. It's not like you're without something that you need. It's just it's kind of bringing me the things about like breatharians, which trust me, that's really intense and extensive. Like, I'm not recommending breatharianism to anybody, but breatharians believe that they can live off of just light and air. And so like they go through this whole process where they only drink juice and that's it. And it's really extreme, right? It's really extreme, but it's just bringing it up as an analogy of like, what if you could only live off of light and air, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that change your life if you could live off of nothing but light and air, and you didn't necessarily have to eat or consume like anything in this world to get by? That's an interesting idea that's coming through. Living off of light and air. Whew. I tell you what, too, I just got this blue Chalcedony crystal, and this is my first time really working with it, and that's a nice, I'm feeling some nice energy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling some nice energy. So I'm doing this check-in as we go out of the Scorpio full moon, heading towards a Taurus new moon. Let's just see what's coming out for Virgo. These 3 cards came out first. Interesting. The 8 of Wands. Today it was really talking about like the motion of this person walking. It was very much it just said, it was just about to say improving, and it was 4:20 when I looked at the clock. I don't know if that necessarily means anything today, but it was saying like improving. But when I first turned this over, it kind of gave me 5 different songs at one time that all kind of have the phrase of we're going. So I had like, we're going to a hoogie-low, and I had like, over the hill and through the woods to grandmother's house we go, right? There was like all these little things where it's like, oh, we're going. So it was very much like, it just said field trip, a little bit of a field trip, kind of like an adventure. You get to go somewhere. And it even gave me like some Italian, andiamo, we go, right? And I used to study Italian, so there's something very much about like studies, field trips. This 8 of Wands is just movement and usually communication. And when you think of like a field trip or a study experience, there's a lot of learning and talking, right? So seems very positive. Seems very positive. On to the next one. So, okay. It just gave me some of my kind of like yoga music on my Pandora station that I listen to, which there's quite a few different little bands that come on there. But some of them that I listen to are like Beats Antique and Desert Dwellers. They got some pretty good music. And so a lot of their music, because it's more ethnic beats and stuff like that, meditation beats and things like that, it's got some chants to it. So it was like, I don't know what it was chanting to me, but it was like it was doing like all that stuff with this hierophant. So I actually just learned yesterday, hang on, there's a couple of things coming through. There's a couple things coming through. So I just learned yesterday actually that the hierophant is a Taurus card, which Taurus is my moon sign, and but I am a Virgo too, right? Now we have this nice V for the 5, so Virgo 5. It's a Taurus card. Lots of personal symbolism coming through here for sure. It was doing the chants because of the fact that there's a certain level of mindfulness, and it just said like composure that you're headed towards. With the hierophant too, the hierophant can definitely be a spiritual leader, spiritual teacher, can be like a professor, things like that. And so there's so it's showing how these okay, I like that. Oh, I kind of like that message. Hang on, it's got me planting my feet. It's got me kind of sitting up straight. It was talking about how these energies were like flocking to this figure, and kind of like in a soul way, like not like people are like chanting and bowing to this figure, right? It's like in a soul way, the spirit of them is chanting and building this energy and calling to the hierophant figure, which is calling them. So there's very much this kind of like, it's a very attractive force in a sense that's kind of coming through, which is not very typical of an Eight of Wands or kind of really this hierophant. But there's this implication that these two figures here are like heading towards this hierophant who is just, right, like sitting in the throne room basically, or sitting in the temple. Seems like they're just kind of meditating and keeping everything in order, kind of going back to the message of living off of just air and light and spirit. The hierophant has a very specific balance and connection between the higher spirit world and the lower earthly realms. And it's like, if there was someone who was going, if there was someone in the deck that you would find like meditating or chilling in that way all the time, it's either going to be the Hermit card, which is a Virgo card, or it's kind of going to be this hierophant. They can, in my other decks too, it indicates a healer. And that's the other thing is, especially because I'm a Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master and I'm a teacher. So I can definitely tell, like, it's talking about my life right here for sure. But for you guys too, like if you don't recognize the teacher vibe, it also talks about a healer or just someone who's wise in those ways, right? It could be a therapist, someone who's good at healing others in all kinds of ways. Talk therapy, doctor, medication type therapy, education. They are teaching and learning, but they are teaching these others who just kind of flock to them, is what it feels like. Just. It was also pointing out all of these up here, which very much reminded me of cobras, which I have. I mean, it's a different spiritual system, but I have this Buddha here, this little Buddha statue. I just got it, and he is protected by the cobra. That's the cobra's hood that sits over the top of the Buddha and guards him and protects him, right? And cobras, snakes, can be symbols of your kundalini energy that rises from the base of your spine up to your crown chakra, and it is your life force energy. Snakes can get some really bad symbolisms, but I know that ever since I learned of this snake in particular, where the cobra protects Buddha while he like sits under a tree and his hood kind of arcs over and protects him like that, like it's made me look at snakes a lot different. So there's a lot of that too. That's what I mean. There's that teacher vibe, right? It's like you're really pulling from these higher realms in this really beautiful kind of sheltered life force way. And especially there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like, it's like a 7-headed cobra. I was almost gonna say it's 8. Like there's all these, right? So there's something very much about like you are so protected. Like these are the cobras of this Buddha right here, just like sheltering over you and protecting you. And I want to be very clear, Virgo, that I asked for a very honest reading in here today because I needed it to be very real with me. So this feels like a very honest, true message that you are protected at this time, that you are seated well, that your life force energy, the universal life force energy, and therefore the universe, these energies, these spirits, these deities, whatever you want to refer to, is sheltering you and protecting you. And it's your job to stay in this energy because that's what it said, that's what's expected of you. But also it said, like that's like the phase that you're at, and this is in the middle, right? That's like the phase that you're at. Like don't step out of this energy, not because there's anything necessarily bad that's going to happen, but because this is, it said, this is where you belong. It said this is the energy in which you belong. You are this teacher, this healer, this highly protected, spiritual, wise leader, and that's where you need to stay. And as long as you maintain that energy, as long as you don't, right, start getting into all this stuff that like you don't necessarily need, and it's not even totally that message. This card's kind of, it's giving like all kinds of messages because hopefully there's like all kinds of Virgos watching this, right? But yeah, it's just like if something feels especially tempting in the sense of like, you know, you shouldn't do it, or it's just so excessive, it's unnecessary in your life, you don't need it, right? It's talking about just stay on the core path, stay in this beautiful core, healer, positive, wise leader energy, because people are just flocking to you while you're in it, and it's like, that's the energy you need to stay in, right? That's beautiful. It just said, keep it coming. Keep it coming. What's this? Oh, yeah, look at her. Oh, this beautiful Queen of Wands. It gave me the word magnanimous, because the Queen of Wands is actually a very magnetic figure. She is very attractive in all senses of the word, and that's why she's got so many lotus flowers. It just said lady by day. Wow, that's cool. It just said lady by day, and then it was basically like, you know, hierophant, wise leader by night type deal, which is kind of funny because I teach at night. And so, but it was saying magnanimous, kind of like your title, right? Like it's kind of giving me like kings and queens, how they have all those like little titles that go beforehand that describe who they are. That's kind of what this was like the magnanimous Queen of Wands. She's magnetic, she's magnanimous, she's magnificent, right? Something like that. It's a little bit of kind of like, it's very positive. It feels like a little bit of like showmanship, like drama, like a little bit of, right, just kind of like you're feeling off the title of somebody. It said because they're being announced. It said because they're being announced. Like they're walking into a room. And then it's also very much like this entourage type feel. So I mean, these things are flocking, they follow you. So it's like, and then by day with all these lotus flowers, like literally sowing and reaping this beautiful wands energy, this fiery, it said sexy spiritual energy. Yeah, like collecting it, and then almost like I was saying, like by night and by day, it's like this is outdoors and this is indoors. So then it's like bringing all of this back indoors to fill the home, fill the office, fill the sacred space that this teacher healer kind of sits in, right? So it's very talking about, it's getting tongue-tied too. Very much talking about beautifying the space within and without, but it's also talking about a really beautiful, magnetic, magnanimous Queen of Wands energy, just like so warm and lovely and positive, and like you just want to be around her type deal. And also saying that this figure transforms into this hierophant by night, which is, this is Osiris, right? God of the underworld. He lived in the world of the living, and then he became God of the underworld after he died a couple times. And from there he becomes super wise, right? Like he knows both sides of the world, of the story type deal. And he's got a lot, I said, he's got a lot to say, he's got a lot to teach. And so it's definitely suggesting that this person is anamorphic, goes between feminine and masculine energy, goes between animal and human energy, spirit energy, right? And all these other, and because of that, it's very magnetic, and there's energies that flock to you because of that, Virgo. Oh, I was picking up my deck, and this one kind of stayed over here, so I think this one would like to stay. Let's see if there's anything else. I'm gonna flip it. No, one more just to round it out at 6. That's, you would, Virgo. Got that lucky number 7 card. All right, let me scoot these up a little bit so y'all can definitely see. Yeah. Okay. Knave of Pentacles. Yeah, this just feels like, it just feels like an art student. That's not what they're doing. I was going to say this is like a wagon or something, and there's probably grain or something like that. Stores, it's talking about like inventory, so there's some inventory being taken, but also this just very much read like a paintbrush to me, so almost like sitting outdoors painting, drawing. Knave of Pentacles is definitely about coin, about money, so it can definitely be about school and career, studies in that way. I'm getting very much a student study vibe off of this pile right now. Yeah. It kind of gave me that cat phrase, if I fits, I sits, because it's kind of talking about how weird his little figure is kind of sitting in here. So it's talking about, yeah, like very much like being active outdoors in a space, kind of studying something, drawing something, learning, traveling, moving around, standing, sitting. Like there's, and I said it's like we're going, and it's like there's just very much this kind of like journey. It feels like this energy is combined, leading it, right? Everything's moving to the right. Everything's going this way. Well, that's what I'm saying. And then there's this figure too, which it's pointing out that they have the same crown on, which that is actually a crown of, oh, I can't remember if it's like Lower Egypt or Upper Egypt, or if there was a separation of that country like that, and that region at the time like that. But it's comparing how this one's got like the little water fins on it, or like little feathers, and this one doesn't. So it's kind of like, it's like showing your real body versus like, oh, nice. It was talking about like your real body versus what's actually, wow, whoa. Virgo, wow. Your guides have beautiful messages for you right now. So if this is the earth plane, this is the higher plane. This is what you might be seeing in actual reality. This is what it is like. This is how it's actually occurring on the higher plane. Because that's the thing, is like people that don't believe in other dimensions, other realms, other spiritual practices where you have a higher self or you have a past self and you have all that, right? Or right, a god, a deity, or anything like that. People don't, the people that don't believe in that kind of stuff can't grasp this message, Virgo. But you, Virgo, if this is the earth plane, these are like the real people flocking to you. They might be sitting still and look like they're not doing much of anything except for just doodling and drawing and maybe like doing some little tasks like that, but it's very much showing how fast they are moving. It's very much saying like they are following you, like they are attracted to you in that way, that they just follow you like you're a leader, right? They see you moving in this direction, they follow in that direction. They see you as this higher figure, but maybe you don't see yourself as this higher figure. You might see yourself like this, and you still got a crown on, so you don't necessarily look at yourself in a low way. But it's just, I was saying, this is a Virgo card. This is a 9 of Pentacles, so this is like as real as it gets for us, Virgo. Like this is a very realistic depiction of who you are on this earth plane, which is very prudent. You plan for the future, and you work and you reap and you sow, and therefore you are wealthy and independent, very strong, all on your own. You offer blessings too. It's kind of like the sun, which therefore brings these hands down to earth, which grants you these pentacles, which grants you these flowers, this food, this sunlight, the clothes you wear, the shoes on your feet, the crown on your head, and you're just like, you give thanks for that all the time. And at the same time, because you do that, it helps build, like, I love how all these pentacles look like all these little yellow dots up here. It's like, because you work so hard down here on this earth plane, it helps build that protection in the higher realms. But you also need to see, it's just kind of showing you like what you, it said who you are and what you are on a higher spiritual plane. Like this is who you are, this is what you are on a higher spiritual plane, right? this is what these people are doing on a higher spiritual plane. They are following you. They are just like, they are just following you. They're flocking to you. And this one's very much like, all of these figures are very independent in their own cards, but this one especially, because it's showing me like literally the whole figure. And I don't know, maybe it's the way it's kind of backed out a little bit. It's like you see yourself in a way where you know you're solid and you recognize your own strength, but you're also, it said, still trying to stay humble. Still trying to stay humble, just like, yes, thank you, like, thank you, universe, I'm very grateful, thank you. I see you bestowing these gifts on me, and I'm very grateful for it. Please continue to protect me. Ooh, I got emotional. Please continue to protect me. Please continue to watch over me and bless me, right? Ooh, it's getting emotional. That's what I'm saying, like, this is a really beautiful stone. Very calming, very soothing. It said very blessing. It said very blessing. And that's what I mean. You just really appreciate everything that you have, and but you still see yourself in this smaller way because you still see yourself on this earth plane, which is not a bad thing to have in your head, but Spirit just wanted to reveal, like, look at what you look like on this higher plane. You're magnificent. Oh. Yes, boo. It just said, there's a little meme that goes around on Instagram in the tarot community or something, and it usually pulls out like the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Queen of Wands or something like that, and it says, when the tarot decks confirm that you are indeed that bitch. That is hilarious. That's what it just kind of gave to me, which kind of gives me that line from the end of Beyonce's Formation. It says, and like, you know, sorry, it's got some cuss words if that offends anyone, but it says, you know, you that bitch, when you cause all this conversation, always stay gracious, best revenge is your paper, which this is Pentacles, right? That's about as close as we can get to paper in this deck. And we got paper cards here too, so, which it is 441 on the clock when I just looked at that. So with this Empress card right here, okay, so just kind of focusing right here real quick. I kept talking about how this is magnetic, magnanimous. That's because down here on this earth plane, this is where you are strongest, which is this Empress energy, which she builds and births an empire. And not only that, she does take into account a lot of savings and wealth growth, but also very much about beauty and maintaining that. Think of like how a queen or an empress would rule her castle or her kingdom, especially if like her emperor is always away, right? What does she do? She's still got ruling power. She's still very strong, but she's not an emperor. She's not a masculine energy. So what does she do? She gives a few commands, but she keeps everything clean. She is open to receive the guests, and she honors them when they arrive. Very much like matriarchy, running of the home type energy is what's coming off of this. And usually is depicted as someone that's pregnant, therefore like birthing children and stuff like that. That just symbolizes abundance. Definitely doesn't have to be about like someone who actually gives birth all the time or something like that. But because the Empress is usually that receiving energy, she welcomes people into the home, she caters to the guests, she makes sure everything's running smoothly when, you know, other people are away from the home. She beautifies it, bringing in the flowers, bringing them indoors, like I was saying. That's what I mean. There's that lotus flower again. She beautifies the home. It's bringing up very much how women are known as homemakers. Even if they're working women, a lot of them are essentially still responsible for making the home. And it's giving me that poem or that phrase that some guy wrote that was talking about how if you give a woman something, she instantly multiplies it for you. You give her your seed, she gives you children. You give her a house, she gives you a home. stuff like that. That's the kind of energy that the Empress is. And that's where it's saying that you are that energy on this earth plane. And what that does is, because you're always in the energy of receiving, your Queen of Wands energy is always attracting, and therefore it's almost like you yourself are attracting and building your own blessings that you therefore receive. It's like putting you, Virgo, almost as your own little microcosm of a universe, and just saying how, like, because you do this stuff on earth and because you receive these people the way you do, because you are you recognize your power and yet you are humble and you try to give alms and you try to, you know, maintain that kind of balance, and because you are, I said, running that home, I say because you are running that home in this really gorgeous, warm, blessed way, there's the reveal on that top side, right? These people are flocking to you. Why? Because you're this, because you're this. These people think you're wise and want to learn from you. Why? Because you're actually this. These people are attracted to you in all kinds of ways because they see you doing this. They see you going out into the world and collecting that beauty and that wands, that fire energy, and bringing it back home to others. Ooh, it just kind of gave a female Prometheus vibe. I didn't dig that. All right, what's this 7th card, lucky number 7 card, to wrap up this message? Virgo, this is it's a clear view. It's a clarity. Like, you needed this message for your own clarity and clear view, because you might have been kind of doubting yourself, wondering if you were handling something in the wrong way or something like that, and it just feels like it needed to clarify for you, like, what the actual earth plane is like, but it really wanted to focus on, like, the things that you can't see because it's in a different realm. It's in a higher realm. So what's this last card, this number 7 card? We have some nice Beyonce vibes up in here today, y'all. Which she is a Virgo, and she is born on September 4th, and therefore her favorite number is 4. She loves the 4 of Pentacles because that's the Earth energy card, and it brought that to me first. Nice. It just gave me the song. Yes, I have this on my playlist on my personal YouTube channel. This song is called My Power. Features just a lot of different artists from, like, Africa, and then of course Beyonce herself and her daughter, and it's such a good song. It just says they'll never take my power. They'll never take my power. Yeah, love it. And that's where these arms right here, it's like raising them up, like almost like I can definitely see this almost as a dance. Like, there's this like echoing wave of arms raising this energy up. It said raising the bar. Ooh, it's got a bar right there too. It said raising the bar. And that's the whole thing, is like your earthly self is supporting your spiritual self, and it keeps going. There's this, like, it just said like a tier system, like you have a spiritual tier system where there's higher versions of yourself and lower versions of yourself, both simultaneously raising you up, lifting you up. And it's really interesting because I had a Reiki session with a client about a week ago or so now, and it was her personal session. So of course I'm always working on my client, but sometimes I get messages from my clients for me. And I had this really beautiful moment where I was working on her feet, and all of a sudden it felt like I was like literally like lifting this woman up, like raising her up. Kind of like they do with cheerleaders, right? How you have to pick the cheerleaders up. It was kind of like that. It was like I was picking her up by her feet and holding her up. And when I felt myself like energetically raise her up, all of a sudden it was like I kind of got raised up, and I ended up in a church, and I was sitting with someone that was very dear to me that I haven't seen in a very long time, and I got to hold their hand and put my head on their shoulder, and I was just looking at like a rose window, a stained glass big rose window, circular in front of me, and I just got to have like this moment of sheer peace. And it was like the universe showing you your path to that peace, and just showing you that it was like you were being raised up. It's all attainable type deal. And that's what I mean. There is some beautiful divine feminine energy in here that is like just raising you up, Virgo, for sure. It's all people, but it's for sure some goddess energy in here. And it's just talking about like your power and how much you struggle with it, because you know that you're powerful, but you don't want to like power trip with it, right? So you're just kind of like, look, I was talking about a field trip and stuff. That's where this was kind of for a minute, because it's like you don't want to power trip on it. You want to use your power to travel and work with these people and be protected and do and have all this beautiful stuff, but at the same time you're like, it just said, not of this world, I'm just in it. And that's where it's like, you got to recognize what you are. They'll never take your power. Raise that bar up. Go to that sanctuary, right? Go to that sanctuary. Go to that sanctuary. It said, this is your home. It said that both is like this earth is your home, and like heaven, like spirit is your home, and literally talking about like your space, like your home, right? Like this is your home. You are home in your body. You're always home because your spirit's here, right? Like, so like literally this is home. And when you recognize that, instead of always longing for some other higher realm and place, then you realize like you're always home. This is your home. And people just love your energy right now, Virgo, is what it seems like. And that's what I got for you. Please, I hope that resonated with you. I hope y'all enjoyed that one. It was a long one, but it was a good one. I'll catch you guys later. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you.